Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Martin kidnaps Abby to protect Alan's swap secret. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers reveal that things may not be quite as they seem when it comes to Alan Laurent, Christopher Cousins, and the whirlwind romance he's been having with Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland. In Paris, it felt like Tracy had finally found her perfect match and a chance at living happily ever after. It was so lovely to see Tracy happy and falling for a new man after all this time. Unfortunately, something shifted in the August 14 episode, and it leads us to believe there's been a rewrite behind the scenes. There are now excellent reasons to believe Alan is actually Martin Laurent, Christopher Cousins, the evil twin brother who supposedly perished when he tumbled off the balcony. Alan claimed Martin broke his fall and helped him survive, but what if it was poor Alan who broke Martin's fall instead? Perhaps Martin secretly had time to swap clothes with Alan and pass himself off as his brother once again. This may be one instance where soap fans just have to suspend disbelief. Like when Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, came back from the grave and Claire Grace, Haley Aaron, was suddenly alive after so many years. Martin's survival may be the latest Y&R twist based on some troubling hints, like Alan seemingly not recognizing the Abbott mansion, which he visited multiple times. If Martin has indeed taken over Alan's life, who's going to figure it out first? Ashley Abbott, Eileen Davidson, might have a hunch down the road, but maybe someone currently on canvas will get a clue sooner. Abby Newman Abbott, Melissa Ordway, was hurt and furious over being left out of the loop on Ashley's mental health crisis. It was hard for Abby to feel like she was the last to know. The show could make up for that if Abby is the first one to figure out something's off with Alan. Perhaps there'll be some warning signs that leave Abby with concerns, especially considering the way Martin duped Ashley. Abby might even overhear Martin gloating to himself about fooling Tracy and everyone else. If Abby discovers Martin's deception and tries to play the hero, things may take an awful turn. Could Martin kidnap Abby to protect his secret swap? Will Abby end up held hostage somewhere while her loved ones grow fearful over her missing status? The Young and the Restless spoilers say Abby could get updates on some jaw-dropping Martin news, so we'll bring you more predictions on all the twists and turns. Abby Newman Abbott Chancellor was no stranger to drama. Born into the wealthy and powerful Newman family, she had spent her life navigating the complex web of power struggles, betrayals, and secrets that seemed to define her lineage. But nothing could have prepared her for the dark and twisted turn her life was about to take. It was a warm summer evening in Genoa City. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the sprawling estates and bustling downtown area. Abby was at the Chancellor Mansion, enjoying a rare moment of peace. The mansion's grandiose structure stood tall, a symbol of her family's legacy. The elegant furnishings and manicured gardens outside were a testament to the wealth and power that had always surrounded her. But despite the comfort of her surroundings, Abby couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. There had been whispers around town, rumors of something big brewing beneath the surface. Victor Newman, her father, had been unusually secretive lately, even for him. And her husband, Chancellor, had been distant, often leaving late at night without explanation. As she sipped her glass of wine, Abby's mind wandered to her son Dominic. He was the light of her life, the one thing that kept her grounded amidst the chaos. But even with Dominic, there had been unsettling developments. Abby had noticed subtle changes in him over the past few weeks. He had always been a happy, energetic child, but lately he seemed more withdrawn, almost as if he was sensing the tension that hung in the air. She set her glass down and stood up, deciding to check on Dominic. As she walked down the hallway toward his room, she heard the sound of the front door creaking open. Her heart skipped a beat. Chance wasn't supposed to be home for another hour. "Chance," she called out, her voice echoing through the silent mansion. There was no answer. Abby's pulse quickened as she reached for her phone, ready to call for help if needed. But before she could dial, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, moving swiftly and silently toward her. "Abby," the voice was low, almost a whisper. "Don't scream. I'm here to help you." She recognized the voice immediately. It was Martin, a man she had known for years, someone who had worked closely with her father. He was a trusted confidant, someone who had always been in the background, handling the more delicate matters of the Newman family. But why was he here, sneaking into her home? "What are you doing here?" Abby demanded, her voice trembling with fear and confusion. Martin stepped closer, his expression unreadable. "There's no time to explain. You need to come with me now." Abby shook her head, backing away. "I'm not going anywhere with you. Tell me what's going on." Martin sighed, realizing that he couldn't force her without explaining at least part of the truth. "Abby, your son, Dominic, he's in danger. And so are you. I can't let anything happen to you, but we need to leave now." Her blood ran cold at the mention of Dominic. "What are you talking about? What kind of danger?" "It's Alan," Martin said, his voice barely audible. "There was a switch, a long time ago. I didn't know until recently, but Alan isn't who you think he is." The name Alan sent a shockwave through Abby. Alan had been the family doctor, a man who had been involved in her pregnancy with Dominic. He had always seemed trustworthy, professional. But now, hearing his name linked to something sinister made her stomach churn. "What do you mean, a switch? What happened?" Abby's voice was rising, panic setting in. Martin glanced around nervously, as if he expected someone to jump out of the shadows at any moment. "There's no time to explain everything here. If you want to keep Dominic safe, you need to come with me. I promise I'll tell you everything once we're somewhere safe." Abby was torn. She didn't trust Martin, not entirely, but the fear for her son's safety was overwhelming. "Where would we go?" she asked, her voice trembling. "There's a safe house outside of town," Martin replied. "It's secure and no one will find us there." Abby hesitated for a moment, weighing her options. She could stay and demand answers, but the fear gnawing at her insides told her that Martin was telling the truth. If Dominic was in danger, she couldn't afford to waste any more time. "Okay," she finally said, her voice shaky. "I'll come with you. But you'd better explain everything, Martin. I want the truth." Martin nodded solemnly, his expression serious. "You'll get the truth, Abby, I promise." With that, Abby hurried to Dominic's room, scooping him up from his crib. The baby stirred slightly but remained asleep in her arms, oblivious to the turmoil unfolding around him. Abby grabbed a few essentials for him and herself, then followed Martin out of the mansion, her heart pounding in her chest. As they drove away from the Chancellor estate, Abby couldn't help but glance back at the life she was leaving behind, at least for now. She had no idea what was waiting for her at the end of this journey, but she knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 2. The Safe House Revelation. The drive felt like it took forever. Martin navigated through back roads and unfamiliar routes, clearly avoiding the main highways. Abby clutched Dominic to her chest, her mind racing with questions. Who was Alan really? What kind of switch had taken place? And most importantly, what did it mean for her and her son? Finally, they arrived at the safe house, a small, unassuming cabin tucked away in the woods. It was isolated, far from any prying eyes. Martin parked the car and helped Abby out, leading her inside quickly. The interior of the cabin was simple but well furnished, with enough provisions to last for days, maybe even weeks. Abby set Dominic down on a makeshift bed in the corner, covering him with a blanket before turning to face Martin. "All right," she said, crossing her arms over her chest. "We're here. Now tell me what's going on." Martin took a deep breath, his expression grave. "Abby, what I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to hear, but you need to know the truth. Years ago, when you were pregnant with Dominic, Alan wasn't just your doctor. He was working with someone who had their own agenda." Abby felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of agenda?